DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
As I was saying, Uncle Scrooge is in trouble, and it's up to us to help him. Adventure is in our blood. We face down perilous foes and endless danger every day, but we always prevail, because these ducks don't back down.
It's the week of Monday, August 20th, and you're listening to episode 38 of DuckTalks. Hey there, and welcome to DuckTalks. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Mitch.
Ahoy there, Pirate Steven here.
We have absolutely nothing to talk about this week.
Man, it's like a bummer week for news.
Nothing going on, an okay episode of the show. It is what it is. I mean, we'll make the most of it this week. We'll try to get through it. I'm sure there's better things happening in the future. This is a horrible intro for DuckTales fans.
Man, you're a liar.
I am absolutely
sit on a
lying.
throne of lies, sir.
Okay, let's try that again. This was the best week ever. This episode was amazing, and I don't know how we're going to only talk for an hour about it.
It's going to be at least a 3-hour miniseries, I'm sure.
The editing alone is going to take me like 3 weeks. I don't know how I'm ever going to get this out there.
It'll be out there before season 2 starts, I'm sure.
I don't know. That might be closer than we think. But welcome to the show. If this is your first time listening, welcome to DuckTales. Welcome to DuckTalks. And we're glad to have you. If you've been listening for 38 episodes or something like that, thanks for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. It's been a fun ride this season. This is, it's just hard to believe that the season's over, and yet I can't believe it's lasted this long.
It was a full season. I mean, they did great. 23 episodes. That is a really, because some of these animation series you get kind of lazy, and they'll do like a full season is like 10 to 13 episodes. Now we got a full 23 episode season, so it was great. Start to finish, it was strong the whole way through.
I felt like it built with every episode. I remember finishing, the premiere, the series premiere, and thinking, man, that was a really fun movie. That was enjoyable. It hit all the nostalgia factors that I needed for a first trip to this new Duckburg. It's got me excited about the storylines. It's got me ready to go. That was perfect. I can't imagine it being any better. And then they surprise us that second week. Well, some time passed, but when the show started again, because the premiere aired earlier. But when we got that next, that Saturday morning, we had 2 episodes that morning. We weren't expecting that at all. And it was amazing again. Those 2 episodes were phenomenal. Still 2 of my favorites. I mean, I don't know how I can rank these 20-something episodes.
We're going to have a ranking episode of this podcast for sure in the upcoming weeks, and you're going to have to. You're going to have to pick your favorite episode, your favorite moments, your favorite Glom Golds. I'm actually looking really forward to that show.
Yeah, and favorite Manny, favorite little bulb. We're going to have some fun with this.
We're going to talk about our favorite ships.
No, we're not. We don't do that.
And free shipping.
Free shipping, FedEx, Disney Store.
Yeah, and this is something I thought about in the car today. I was thinking about recording this show, and I'm either going to get a lot of cheers and people agreeing with me, or jeers, on the Twitter. So I feel like DuckTales is my new Star Wars. My fandom for this DuckTales series is so high right now that I want a shirt that says DuckTales is my new Star Wars.
DuckTales is my new Star Wars. Now we just got to come up with a design for that, and we can get to work on that. Right?
I mean, I'm like obsessed with every single one of these characters. It's hard to pick. They're all so great. Glom Gold and then the rest of them, but I don't know. It seems like the perfect storm, and they've set themselves up. this brilliant crew and cast have set themselves up where they can spin off of these things as much as they want it to anywhere they want to go after it. The DuckTales could be a 5-season show, and then they could spin off and have so many other opportunities within this universe that they've created, because it's kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is our Iron Man movie to start off this new universe, and it's so brilliant. I look forward to it every single week.
I could definitely see them spinning off and telling other tales. I'm looking forward to them continuing to introduce new characters, but I love these characters, and I want to spend more time with these characters as well. So we're going to get at least another season. We're waiting. We were talking about it before we sat down to record. We jumped in Discord and had a chat with some of our friends there, and that was one of the topics that we talked about early on was. When should we expect to hear that season 3 has been picked up? I mean, I think DuckTales has been a success, but I've not seen any numbers beyond the premiere. I can't wait to find out that season 3 has been greenlit and that the stories are going to continue, because they're planning ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I'm not in that kind of business where I would know what the ratings are. Well, I could look at ratings, but
to understand what they mean,
to be able to predict, I would say that season 3 is inevitable. I just don't know when they make those type of decisions. Disney Channel, the fact that they moved it to the Disney Channel and it's been so successful, I could see it around for a while.
I hope so. I hope it's one of those shows that gets carried for a while. We need a long running show. There's too many stories to tell. Because I feel like we've had hints of stories that we should get in the future, just little pieces here and there that they can continue to build on. Some throwaway line about, a place or an item that totally could become its own episode. And that's what I've enjoyed about this show. There's so many little call-outs, so many things. The cast, the crew, everybody's been fabulous. It's just been amazing. I can't say enough good things about this show. I talk about it at work with people and recommend it to families all the time that have the Disney Channel. It's definitely worth sitting down and watching a couple of episodes. I was telling Josh earlier, Josh isn't with us right now. He's having a few technical difficulties. He may be with us in a little bit. The plan is for Josh to be with us tonight, but we were talking on Discord about just how amazing of a job they've done, and just being able to spend time talking with the crew. The stuff they share on Twitter is just so much fun. Just getting those little insights and seeing the boards and stuff like that's been great.
Yeah, and if you're on the crew and you're listening to this and you want to be on the show with us just to talk about anything, whether it's fishing or playing pool or something, let us know. We definitely want to get, especially during this hiatus, whether it's long or short, we definitely want to get some more entertainment out there with getting some the people that make the magic happen on this podcast. So definitely look forward to some episodes there. We are going to have some people on, even if Mitch has to do the impersonations himself.
But seriously, with the crew, I mean, we know there's a few people on the crew that have listened to DuckTalks in the past. I'm not sure if they still listen to DuckTalks, but we know they've listened to it. And I mean, we'd seriously love just to chat with anyone from the show. We don't even have to sit down and talk about the show. We're not going to be asking about season 2 because we know they can't talk about it. But I'd just like to sit down and talk with Tanner Johnson and learn who Tanner Johnson is.
Right? And Madison Bateman. I mean, Brandon Warren. Come on.
Yeah. Bob Snow. I'd never heard of this guy's name before until this show, and I've enjoyed a lot of his work. So, yeah, we definitely would love just to chat with everyone, I'm sure Frank will let it slide, or whoever is in charge of that. I'm pretty sure Frank's not in charge of that.
He's not in charge of that. Come on. They would not put him in charge of that.
Because he'd be out there talking with everybody.
Right.
I'm convinced of that. We'd have fireside chats with Frank and Gomez.
So it's time to start this episode on the latest episode, the finale of all finales for a season. It was fantastic. And where do we want to start and get this rolling?
Yeah, so we're going to cover a couple of news items before we get into the Shadow War, our review of the Shadow War. So let's take a look at that. The first item that we have to talk about tonight is Season 2 in 2018. So this news broke Saturday, pretty much immediately after the episode aired. The LA Times posted an article pretty much right after the episode aired, at least to my mind, that's when it happened, because we were still on that DuckTales high. But they had an article that included news about the show being back in late 2018. And then pretty much immediately, Frank retweeted it with, "Oh yeah, I guess we can tell you now that you don't have to wait that long for new DuckTales," or whatever he said. But it's coming in 2018, which immediately our eyebrows were raised because we were talking about the show starting in October at the beginning of the year.
Well, LA Times and also D23's website let the news out there. I feel like they came a little earlier with this too, considering the fact when the episode aired. But they let us know that Paget Brewster is the voice of Della Duck, which is pretty cool. We know her from a lot of places, but she was in Friends as Kathy, which was a really fun role of one of both Chandler and Joey's girlfriends.
Season 4 was one of my favorite seasons of Friends, and that storyline led to the Thanksgiving episode for that season, which was, I think, was titled Chandler in a Box or something like that. One of the best episodes of Friends. She's not in that episode that much, but her storyline led to it. She was also in a show that my wife really liked, Criminal Minds, I think is the show.
Yeah.
She was like one of the main characters of that show.
I like if you go to her Twitter page and you go to her website, which is PagetBrewster.com. It's a blank white page that says "is a super babe."
That's cool.
I mean, she's not wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's true, but that's a pretty cool website.
And, we only got that one line of dialogue from her, but I'm sure she's going to be a great Della.
Yeah, it actually said recurring character. So,
right.
And a lot of the writers and DT crew have said that that she delivers some great stuff. So I can't wait to see when that happens.
Yeah, and they've said they can't wait to introduce us to her. So I think we're definitely going to get a storyline for Della in Season 2. Well, following that, we actually received a tip from Pink Pearl Apple. She sent us a link to a video on YouTube from a YouTuber named Darius Bell. And he had a clip. Darius's YouTube is one of the number one places to go to get the phone video of the Disney Channel promos before they end up online. And so he had a new one that I hadn't seen it before this. And as a matter of fact, when I saw it, I was like, that's a really strange promo because it includes stuff from this episode. It includes stuff from earlier in the season. When did this come out? And so looking at it, they had just shared it. And from what we found, the video aired on Saturday. The promo aired on Saturday. But it says, and I've got a quote here, "Are you loving DuckTales? Then you'll go woo for new adventures, new mysteries, new DuckTales. What you've seen is just the beginning. Get caught up on demand and on the Disney app. DuckTales is new this fall on the Disney Channel." So October's happening. We may not premiere in October, but I'm calling it. DuckTales, we will have DuckTales episodes at some point in October, maybe September.
I don't know. I'm still October-ish. I think they should definitely have some shorts between now and then. I think that'd be a good way to get the momentum still going. But yeah, with that book that's coming out October 2nd had originally also said that it was going to be released around the time of season 2. So I think, October, November, December-ish sounds like a good bet.
Well, we also had the images from San Diego Comic-Con of Mrs. Beakley dressed up as Darkwing. And I'm still thinking that's a Halloween costume.
That'd be great as a Halloween episode. Halloween's my favorite holiday, and besides Mardi Gras. But Halloween is great, and there's Trick or Treat is a great Donald Duck classic cartoon, and the nephews have all their costumes, and that would be a really cool tribute to some of the old stuff, the old school Halloween episodes that Disney.
Yeah, that's something we've said for a while, and I think that's one of your favorite shorts, I think, because you keep bringing it up.
I love Trick or Treat, and also love Lonesome Ghost, which is another Mickey, Goofy, and Donald one. But yeah, all these were on the old school Halloween specials that Disney used to have on Disney Channel. Well, but if not Halloween, I mean, Christmas, we know at San Diego Comic-Con, we saw Christmas characters that look like from Disney, Mickey's Christmas Carol, the Three Ghosts. So who knows? That could be another opportunity for them to start the season for an awesome Christmas episode of DuckTales. Woo.
You think Frank gives us the story of what happened between Scrooge and Santa Claus this year?
Yeah, I think I'm guessing it's going to be a short, or maybe it's either Disney Channel or ABC. I think it's ABC that has like the 25 Days of Christmas. It'd be cool to have some kind of cross promotion on ABC that had a short where you find out about Scrooge and Santa and this big beef they have.
I'd like for them to do the stop motion, to continue that, for that to grow beyond just the little promos and actually be a story.
That'd be great. And speaking of the stop motion, I've been playing a lot this past week with the Fat Mojo figures, and I feel like those look very much like those stop motion shorts. I wish we could figure out a way to make our own.
They do. I just got a hold of Scrooge and Donald this past weekend, and they're amazing. They're great. I mean, as far as for reference, they're perfect.
All right, so what's your prediction for if you had to pick a date? If we had to hold you to a date of when the season 2 will start, because that's a big topic. I mean, our blog has been going really crazy the past 3 days with people trying to search for when season 2 is starting.
We were actually forced to write new articles for this because our old articles were getting so much traffic. The information there was old. I mean, the last time we had posted about season 2 was when we were saying that Frank had said, because Frank said on Twitter that he believed that information was old and possibly inaccurate, that to his knowledge, they did not know when season 2 would premiere. But that was months ago. That was a long time ago. So a lot has happened and a lot has changed. They've even changed channels during that time, because that was back, I think, before they officially announced that they were moving to the Disney Channel. But so anyway.
My guess is going to be October 20th, 2018.
So I've not looked at this a great deal, but I've seen a lot of conversation about the Disney Channel likes to start fall shows in September. So I don't know an exact date, but I'm going to say the 3rd week in September.
Wow, that's coming up.
Yeah, I that's only a month. I'd be shocked, but I also wouldn't be too surprised.
Nice. Maybe that's why Frank was saying not October, because it was earlier.
Right. And I still think it could be October. But I've had a number of people that I follow that do follow the Disney Channel shows that they've said fall for the Disney Channel is late September.
I kind of loved having episodes during the summer, though. So I wonder what the whole layout is going to be for the season.
It's true. I mean, if we get 23 more episodes, however they split them up, I don't know that we get bookend double features. But however they split it up, I mean, we're definitely not going to go as far into the year. We're not going to cover all year this go around. Hopefully not. Please, no. I don't want another 5-month hiatus. Hey, let's talk about that Disney Emoji Blitz. How'd you do?
Wow. Yeah, so it was great. I feel like this was a very popular one. All over our social media and the blog, people have been talking about, and by people I mean me. I've had multiple blog entries I've had about this. I was up at midnight when it started. It's been a really cool and fun event. It's over by the time you listen to this because it's going to take Mitch weeks to edit this podcast.
That's the expectation we want to set. Thank you.
But Magica is a really cool villain, and her emoji looks cool, and Poe, her brother-in-law, not brother-in-law, her brother, Poe the Crow is also in emoji form, and it was cool. Her villain move really blocked like almost the whole screen, like a row at a time, with smoke, and it was pretty that was villainous because that would block me a lot and I wouldn't know what was going on there. But it's not, and the cool thing with Emoji Blitz, it's not a hard mobile game. You just gotta put some time into it to really get a lot out of it. So you put the time into it, you can complete the event and unlock the Magica emoji. And there are also 2 other new emoji characters from DuckTales with this update, and that was Webby and Gizmo Duck. And I luckily got Webby on my first diamond box, and then my second 2 were Scrooge McDuck duplicates, which I now am the proud owner of 8 Scrooge McDucks. So
what does that do in the game?
I'm almost at the point where I'm like level 4 for him, and you max out at level 5. And when you get dupes, they pretty much power up your emoji where the emoji is worth more points, or if you level them up to a new power, they do more of whatever they do. So Scrooge will get me more coins at a level 4 when I get to it.
That's nice.
But I missed out on Gizmo Duck, and I know other people got it, including you.
Yes. So this was the first event for Emoji Blitz, Disney Emoji Blitz, that I've played and completed. I've played on a few, and I've had a good time with them, but this is the first time I've completed one. I did defeat Magica. I defeated her early, and I was able to do all the rainbow, what were they called? Rainbow
Falls.
Rainbow Falls. I did all of those. So here's how my emojis went. I already had Scrooge and Launchpad going in, and I realized early on that I could really play Scrooge a lot to get coins, because one of my secondary goals was to save up enough coins to buy a bunch of gold boxes after the event in hopes that I would get characters that I didn't get, because the numbers are in my favor, right? So that was secondary. I went into the event with, what was it, like 60 gems? Something like that?
Yeah.
And you need 200 gems to buy a, what are they called? Platinum box?
Diamond box.
Diamond box. Okay. So I was nowhere near that, but I always, whenever I play an event, if I like something and I play, I'm okay with putting a few dollars in. I'm not going to spend a lot of money, but I'm okay with a couple of dollars here or there. So my goal was to get enough gems to be able to pay $2 to get the, 80 gems. So I needed 120. And so I got the 120, and I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So I purchased it, and I got Gizmo Duck. Was pretty happy about that. And then I earned Magica by winning. And then on Rainbow Falls, I got Webby. So I got everybody.
That's a pretty solid emoji blitzing. Good job.
And I got Magica, I guess playing it all the way, I got Magica to level 2. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
So Suzanne has not yet finished Rainbow Falls. Maybe she did.
I think tonight's the last night, so you better help her with that.
Well, if she hasn't, I think she has completed. I think we were talking about that, and she got. Let's see, you needed Gizmo Duck. She got Gizmo Duck. She didn't get Webby. She wanted Webby. That's what it was. But I was telling her, save up because you can get them in the gold. Play Scrooge. Just keep farming those coins with Scrooge. So yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. I'm looking forward to the next one. I want a Tailspin event.
Yeah, and I mean they already have a Baloo and Louie emojis, so you would think that it'd be easy just to add another hat or Hawaiian shirt on these people.
Now, Chip and Dale are rescue rangers. Do they have regular Chip and Dale in the game?
No, but you would. I mean, for Dale, you wouldn't be able to tell a difference because you can't see. You only see in their heads.
It's true.
And Chip, you can see his hat, but
I'd like to see a Tailspin, but we'll see what happens next. The only other event that I've played nearly as far was the villain one where it was drawn a blank. What was the villain from Lion King?
Scar.
Scar. Thank you. That's it. So I have Scar, and I think I may have him at level 2. Maybe I did finish that event, but I didn't do the Rainbow Falls. Man, that Rainbow Falls got pretty difficult on that last.
Yeah, it really makes you mad too when you die and you have to you don't complete the goal and you have to fall down to the very bottom of the rainbow and start over again.
So did you defeat Rainbow Falls without any power-ups?
No, I had to use towards the end I had to use extra time and extra items.
Once I defeated that third one, I just threw it all in.
Nice.
Which I had some freebies that I'd been holding on until I needed them. And I was like, you know what? Whether I need them or not, I'm just knocking this out so that I'm done with it. So it was a lot of fun. Disney Emoji Blitz is probably one of the more fun games that I've played on my phone. Highly recommend. Especially if they keep doing duck content.
Do you have Donald unlocked yet?
I do have Donald and Daisy.
Yeah, there you go.
So I've got everyone but Darkwing and the Rescue Rangers from Disney Afternoon relation. Need those Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, those are good. They also added, I mean, you'd have to play the game a lot to get to, there's like a Rescue Rangers item board. You know how when you're not playing the events, there's you can collect items, and once you clear your board, you get all those emojis. They have all the Rescue Rangers items from that Disney Afternoon event they had in February or March, whatever it was. So that's towards the end of the game. If you keep playing and clearing these boards, probably you'd have to play a long time. We'll just edit this out. I can't even explain it correctly.
No, I got you because I'm currently on the food items.
Yeah, so it's far. It's like 20 or 30 boards now.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near that. I might be on like maybe 8.
Yeah.
So because I played it a lot there for a little bit, but not during an event, and then I got bored with it, and I didn't really get into any of the events. So, but yeah, we'll move on because I'm sure everybody is tired of us talking about an event that's already passed. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time with it, and we'll definitely talk about the next event when it comes up to let people know what's going on, especially if it's Disney Afternoon related. So that's all we have for the news. We got some good news around the finale and with next season. That's about all we've had so far this week. We do have a couple of items in Duck merch. There's one that we keep forgetting to talk about, and since it's on my mind, we'll talk about it. You came across a new fleece. Was it Classic DuckTales at Hot Topics? Or Hot Topic?
Yeah, it's a blanket from Hot Topic.
Yeah, so I was in my local Hot Topic, did not see it in stores this weekend. I did look for it, but it is online, so you can order that. Just search for DuckTales. It's cool. I like it. Might have bought it if I'd seen it in the store. Secondly, just real quick, because next week we'll actually do a review on the issue, but DuckTales, IDW's DuckTales is out on Wednesday of this week, so most likely a day or two ago for you. And that's I keep wanting to call it episode. I don't know why I always do that, but it's that good. It's issue 11 of the comic. So don't forget to pick that up. You can get that at your local comic book shop or order it digital online. You can also order a hard copy online too. I always say order digital if you're ordering online, but I know some people like to order issues online. You've had some good luck trying to get those covers.
Yeah. I love the variants of the character blueprints. They look really cool. I'm missing a couple, but they're only like 1 out of every 10 issues that the comic book stores order. It's their incentive. If they order 10, they get 1 of these variants that they could sell for a higher price. So we'll see who's on the cover of issue number 11 next week.
It's kind of a mystery. We can't talk about it yet because, I don't know, just in case. Actually, you know what? Let me back up, because I will not get this out before tomorrow, because that's the date on it. So let me back up. Yeah, it actually is a mystery, because I can talk about this since this won't come out until after the date that IDW puts on, keeping these secrets and everything. But everything that we have from IDW shows that Gyro will be on the cover, but he was on 10. So we'll see who's on 11.
He's that popular of a character.
They're just going to put him on it twice.
Might as well.
That would be good.
If it's just little bulb, that'd be great.
I would try to find a little bulb. That's for sure. I've stayed away from collecting these.
Oh yeah, wait. You just wait, Mitch. When the Darkwing Duck cover comes out, I'm gonna message you, and you're like, all right, fine, I'll buy it.
Oh, I will buy that one. There's no doubt. There's a few characters that I would have to buy. There was one other Duck merch item we talked about before we started recording. I don't have it in the notes.
New pin?
The new pin?
Is that what we were talking about?
I think it was the new pin. Josh got the new pin today. We did not.
I mean, we're pin people. No, we're not pin people. We appreciate pins. It's hard.
Pins.
They're really hard to keep up with, and they can get quite expensive. And especially because the ones you want are always the limited edition of like 20 or 50, and they could be pricey.
But this one's not. This one is a regular release.
Yeah, this is an open edition. So it's available at Disneyland now, and it'll be at Disney World probably by September.
Yeah, we're definitely wanting to get a hold of that. It looks good. I've already seen a few people over on the West Coast sharing theirs online that they got a hold of it, and it looks good. Some people said it's their new favorite pen. So, not a limited edition, new favorite pen. Sounds good to me. I got a hold of some pens this weekend from Box Lunch.
Oh, you did? Why don't you tell us about it?
So, if you've been in a Box Lunch, they have, next to the counter, they have this little turn, this place where there's like a bucket of pens, and then they stick them up on these boards in the middle of it. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, they had a ton of pens. We don't normally pay a lot of attention to them. My daughters will want to look at them from time to time, and we let them dig for a little bit very carefully because you can often get stuck. But so we were walking by, and my wife noticed there was a Dewey there, and then we found a Huey, and after a lot of searching, we found multiple Louis. They were just in the bottom, swimming around in the bottom. But yeah, so I got them for my lanyard for Dragon Con.
Fantastic.
Now I just got to find a lanyard, because apparently there's no DuckTales lanyards out there, or Darkwing Duck, or really any Donald ones that I like. That's my big question for the week. What kind of lanyard should I get? I'm running out of time here. All right, that's going to do it for Duck Merch. We've covered all the news. Let's get into this episode. So this week's episode is titled The Shadow War, and it is the finale for Season 1 of DuckTales. Bringing all these stories to a head, wrapping things up, creating maybe a few new mysteries. Talk about all that in a moment. Got a little different format this week as we review. We felt like this episode was just so monumental that we couldn't do what we've been doing with it. It's too long, it's too much going on, too much to talk about. We wanted to just jump into this conversation. And we asked you to participate in the conversation. We took to Twitter and asked our followers to guess at our favorite moments of this episode, and then also to share your own. So we've got that tonight. Before we do that, let's talk about the creative crew that worked on this episode, because it's kind of different than most episodes. The structure of how DuckTales is typically done is you've got the writers group who all work on the episode, but they divide up into writers who are in charge of different episodes. So a writer would be in charge of this episode, but the writers group would come up with ideas and concepts, and then the writer would be responsible for taking that and creating the episode. But it was different for the finale. The finale is the size of 2 episodes, so it's a 44-minute episode, and they divided it up into 2 sections, a front half and a back half. And they divided those up into different ways. But basically you had 2 writers working on each half. And it was really cool that they did that. I know Frank was excited about some of the creative, just kind of how it pushed them creatively and how it kind of changed what they were working on. So in the first half of the episode, you had Bob Snow and Christian Magales working on the opening for the finale. And so there's a lot of great stuff in there. And then the second half was Madison Bateman and Colleen Evanson. And so those were the writers for this episode, and they all worked on the episode. And of course, Frank was involved as well as the head writer. As far as directors go, we had Tanner Johnson and Matthew Humphreys on this episode. Fabulous job. And when I searched online for the boards, I found it was Vince Aparo, Emmy Cicerega, Brandon Warren, and Jason Zurich. So that was our team on this finale. I think they did just a fabulous job. This was fun from the very beginning. And it kicked off very different from past episodes, because we normally get part of the storyline leading into the opening theme, but it just jumped straight into the opening theme. So from the very beginning, we knew this episode was going to be different.
Yeah, you could tell they weren't going to play around with this one. It's full on story mode. Let's get into it. That's what they were probably thinking.
So let's talk about what some of the guesses that we had on social media for our favorite parts, and then we'll actually go through and talk about our favorite parts a little more, because there's just a ton of them. We have Will's Girl L, and they said, I'm bad at guessing other people's favorites, but probably Della's reveal, Launchpad singing and fighting, and Glomgold trying to hold on to his shadow. And they also loved the Scrooge and Lena moments, and the fact that Donald made the final push to stay. I definitely think that this individual has listened to our podcast before.
Yeah, definitely seen her name on the Twitter. And she got a couple of them.
I mean, it's a safe bet to think that Launchpad's biggest scene is a favorite. When he jumped out on the front of that plane, because he'd given up on trying to crash. He had one job. In the second half.
And you remember I even said that that Darkwing was going to come and save the day, and it's kind of like he was in this episode. Jim Cummins should get credit and will get credit for voicing a character in this episode, which was Darkwing. that bobblehead is still funny. Seeing it there, and I love that it was his co-pilot, and he made it talk several times, and it's just a funny gag. I love it.
And then when he steps out on the front of the plane,
yeah, we got that theme song that he made.
What was it he says?
Oh, come on! I'm the best at crashing! Wait! Take the wheel!
Let's get dangerous.
Launchpad climbs out on the plane. Gonna start a fight. Wish I could think of a word that would rhyme with fight. Alright!
Launchpad climbs out on the plane. Gonna start a fight. Wish I could think of a word that would rhyme with fight. Alright. That was hysterical. I mean, obviously, every Launchpad moment in this episode was just so hilarious. I mean, if you think back to the beginning where he stops at Scrooge's manor, McDuck Manor, and he's talking to him and he's trying to console him and take him out to ice cream.
Howdy, Mr. McD. Don't worry. I'm not here to check on you on account of everyone moving out because the boys blame you for launching their mom into space and orphaning them. I'm here to take you out for ice cream. Sounds good, right? Family crisis. I mean, ice cream.
Go away.
I'm not here to talk about all the family stuff. You want to go get ice cream? That sounds good, right?
Yeah, and it's just funny because you see him drive off, and then there's a serious moment with Magica as Lena, and the car comes back directly at her, like, and crashes into the wall where she was standing. So, I was just cracking up laughing about that. Whoever makes these gags is just so funny.
And the animation was smooth. I mean, it was really, really cool.
The emergency bounce house. Who can forget that?
Right. Now, we'd heard that Matt Youngberg's favorite team up for this season was actually Launchpad and Webby together. And I think that part of the story, the first half, was great. It was a lot of fun. Their communication with one another, their little pep talks and working through the plan. And they're like, step 1, we do this. And step 2, we do this. And step 3, we don't have to do because we wrapped it up in 2 steps.
All we need is a simple plan to remind Scrooge and the boys how much they need each other.
Huh? An amazingly fun and elaborate farewell dinner party scheme! Yes!
Step 1, we throw the boys a farewell party to convince them they don't want to move.
Step 2, reveal surprise guest, Scrooge, and remind them how much they all miss each other.
Step 3, there is no step 3 because we just nailed it in 2 steps.
Woo! Ow. Woo!
It was great.
Yeah, and then they didn't want to tell Beakley, and then Beakley was all in on it.
And she's like, Webby's like, how did she even find out? And Launchpad goes, I have no idea. I specifically wrote on her invitation not to come. Oh, great moments. But he had one job, and that was to crash the plane, and he couldn't do it.
Well, they were like, yeah, he could crash. Launchpad, can you crash into the money bin? And everybody's like, yeah, he can. He did crash in the end on top of Magica, which was pretty funny.
Right, yeah. What did you think about Glomgold's one scene?
I mean, that's all. He had one job and he did it, which was to make me laugh. It was funny.
Where are you going? You're my shadow, you hear? Curse you, me!
Curse me! That was great. I love how they got a lot of the characters in. If he was even just shots of them, like Mama was in it, and the Fenton scenes were great.
Stabby McStabberson was in it. Mama was cuffing her.
Yes, I mean that was cool how they kind of wrapped it all up, and got those people in.
So Will's girl Elle says that their favorite part, or they also loved the Scrooge and Lena moments, and the fact that Donald made the final push to say so. Scrooge and Lena, those moments at the first half of the episode were really good because you have Scrooge who's just like at the bottom, completely. I like when she walks into the mansion and it's just a dump of pizza boxes, like thousands and thousands of pizza boxes. And she's like, how long has your house staff been gone? And he's like, 3 days.
Yeah, and then one of the boxes had donuts in it, and it was scratched out. And I swear that is for the DuckTales comic writer, Joe. I mean, that just seems like it'd be him.
Yeah, because he had made his family out of pizza boxes and then used the donut box for Donald. Put one of his sailor caps on it. And I really like the parts with Donald. So in this episode, in the second half, they're trying to figure out how to. Well, Donald makes the push to stay. That's actually what we're talking about. We'll get to the later part later, or we'll get to the other part later. But
I kind of did. Did you tear up when Dewey threw not tear up, but when he threw the Druid's cup in the water? I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean that was serious.
How to get that?
Everybody died.
And then the Mount Everest shirt, and then and I like how Louis didn't want to get rid of his treasure.
Yeah. The girls crack up every time. We've watched this episode 4 times, but every time he, acts like he's throwing it and then goes swish or splash, whatever he says. Oh, and then
I like how at the table they play that game where you have to say say something nice about one of your family members, and they were really nice to Donald, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it was time for him to get some recognition because he is a great character, and he is a great father figure for the boys, and it's good to see. And even Launchpad said he had a nice sailor outfit. But it was a great moment, and then Donald is the one that makes the decision that no, we have to stay for Scrooge. So he makes the first move to forgive him, and he's had this grudge longer than anybody. I mean, the whole 10 years.
It was cool though that he wanted to move them to Cape Suzette, and they had the Cape Suzette, which obviously is a town from Tailspin, and it had the Sea Duck on the flyer. I thought that was a cool little Easter egg.
Yeah, and I like that it wasn't the first time we'd heard of Cape Suzette, because in the series premiere, the boys are trying to get Uncle Donald off the boat so that so Dewey can hotwire it and they can go to Cape Suzette, because it's in their mind, they've got it built up as this fun adventure that they can go on. But then when they know they're going, they're excited and they're sitting down looking at Cape Suzette and they're like, huh. So it looks like the park was recently upgraded and they got a second swing. And Louis like, and the cracker factory gives you free samples when you visit. That sounds cool. Wasn't this cooler when before? But it's, they've been on all these great adventures now, and going back to living their old life just wasn't appealing.
So those were all great moments, but still my number one moment has not been said yet, and we'll see if anybody else grabs it.
Okay. So our next guess isn't actually a guess. So Rafaela Carrillo, and I apologize if I butchered that, said, I had many favorite moments, but if I had to choose one, it would be Donald's full speech about getting the family together that ended with that blessed hug scene with the triplets. I guess this part of the episode was also one of yours. So actually, I guess that's the same scene in the houseboat right after the party, because of the hug. When I first copied this, I was actually thinking of, Donald's, call to arms for everybody. But going back to that scene where the family comes to, the boys decide to go back and help Scrooge.
Yeah, Donald had a lot of great moments.
This was a great Donald episode,
and he had great lines. And you know what? I'm not shipping them, but Donald and Beakley seemed to have a little thing. Beakley seemed like she had a little the hots for Donald in this one. From
the very beginning, the episode Day Trip of Doom. You had the kids giving them a hard time. Oh wait, are you all flirting, or isn't that what Louis said? Something like that.
I am the. I mean, I couldn't blame Beakley after he said, "I am the storm." I mean, that dialogue.
All right. Just like when I led that uprising in Yugoslavia, I'll take the wheel, you...
My house, my rules.
Aye, aye, sir. Get ready for the storm.
I am the storm.
No, seriously, have you been saying things like that this whole time?
That was perfect. That was one of those moments where, as a longtime Donald Duck fan, this show catapulted to my favorite thing ever with Donald Duck in it.
Yeah, and Don Cheadle did an awesome job as the Barksian voice of Donald.
Yes. I'm sitting here thinking about all the things I'm going to cut into this episode. It is going to take me a month to get this episode out. Because I am putting all of this stuff we're talking about in this episode.
Nice.
So let's look at another. Paige Marie Rizzi says, my favorite moment is when Scrooge came out of his number one dime. So jumping to the end of the story, and we have, the kids are able to rally together and to confuse Magica enough to be able to release Scrooge from the dime. Spoilers. And it is a great moment because you get the return. We've not seen Scrooge since the end of the last Crash of the Sun Chaser. We've seen Scrooge down in the dumps, but we've not seen this Scrooge because he just comes flipping out and is ready to take her on, and he's in his element. He's there amongst all of his treasure and all of his money, and he's just diving in and popping up here, throwing little pieces of treasure in front of her blasts and taking her on. It was a great action scene.
Yeah, he had all the right moves, and that was a great fight scene. And I think the thing I took away from that whole scene in that scenario is I desperately want a Scrooge McDuck number one dime with like Magica on it, like as a prop, like to buy as like some Duck merch. I couldn't. That's a total win if anybody made some kind of mint of the coin in like a little necklace or something. I don't know who wouldn't want to wear that. I liked it with Magica's face on it as well. That was something that I wasn't expecting to happen. That she was actually trapped in there.
Because we hadn't seen the back of the dime, right?
I don't think so. Or if we did, it was the regular face. It wasn't Magica.
Yeah. And the one that came with the money bin, I believe, was the regular face. I don't believe it's Magica.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I did see someone on Twitter say, and I think I can't remember their name. It's like Animator360 or something like that. I did see them tweet something at Frank that said, oh, you're sly. You got Magica into the opening too, and we didn't realize it. And it's true. She was in the dime.
What?
Magica was in the opening because she's in the dime.
Dang.
Yeah. Now, I've not gone back and looked at it, and I should have thought of this to try and pause it and see if we can see the backside of the dime. Because there's that one scene where he flips the coin up really high.
Right.
Who knows? She might have been there the whole time. Well, at least if she was in the dime at that moment, she was. But yeah, so great.
And let's talk about her. She was a great, the whole season long, they've done such a great job of her as a shadow and her in her physical form of just really nailing that character. And Catherine Tate did a great job on the voice as well. We've got to give her credit on that.
Best seat in the house. Now the revenge monologue I've been plotting for 15 years. To my most hated nemesis. That's you. As you know, you banished me to another realm within your dime, where I've been biding my time devising your delicious downfall. In conclusion... Wait, these are out of order. Hold on. Hold on! Don't roll your eye at me! I've been trapped for 15 years. I'm entitled to a full minute of gloating. I will make you watch as I destroy everything you've ever loved, starting with your precious little town. Oh, that's good. Got a pen.
They did a great job of her in her shadow form and her new form. She looked spot on. Couldn't have pictured her any better.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the performance of the Shadow all season. Every time it's shown up, it's just progressively gotten better. And I remember the episode, The Other Ben of Scrooge McDuck, where we had some really fabulous, just like really great animation. And the character is very vibrant and moving around, and it's a shadow, so she's just all over the place, and it was great. But the delivery of the lines are just perfect. I mean, I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I've never watched Doctor Who. I've tried to watch a couple episodes of Doctor Who, and I didn't get the appeal. It's not something for me. But I have seen her in The Office, and she was one of my favorite characters from The Office. I thought she was hilarious in that. So was a little bit familiar with her, but I think her delivery on some of these lines were just amazing. I just like listening to her perform this character. And then add on top of that, like you said, I liked Magica's design. I liked this redesign. I thought it was really good. When she first formed, wasn't totally sold on the whole green thing at first, but I bought it and I loved it to the point. And here's my hot take for this episode of DuckTalks. At the end of the episode, when she lost her powers and she changed to a white duck, I missed the green duck. I thought it was better. I thought it was a better design. I liked it.
Yeah, it was. I'll go either way. I can't wait to see what they do with her from now on. Like, what kind of schemes is she going to come up with? Because the Shadow War in the classic DuckTales was like one of the main battles she had with Scrooge. So hopefully we see more of her, and looking forward to seeing what she does to haunt Scrooge.
Yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about the character, in that, we've had this season in DuckTales, and this is not a complaint on my part, but most of the villains have been goofy, and I've enjoyed it because there was just I felt like there was just the right degree of danger with all of the villains. I mean, Glomgold, being who he is, makes him dangerous. I mean, you see that when he actually beats Scrooge in the Goldie episode. Goldie saves Scrooge. So, I mean, the villains have been dangerous, but they've been very, very goofy. And I felt like Magica had an even better balance. I'm not going to say, because I liked all of the villains, but I'm going to say an even better balance, because there were times that she was just completely frightening. And you were like, there's no telling what this crazy witch is going to do. And then there are other times where she's very comical, like when she's got, Scrooge is in the dime, and she's like, is this your favorite treasure? Oh, look, now it's ice cream. Would you like a taste? Oh, no, I dropped it. And it's like, that was hilarious.
Speaking of that part, I love when Gyro gets brought up there, and he's like, is this one of your friends or work acquaintance? Blink twice for work acquaintance. And then he took offense to it.
He was completely crushed. And I can't help.
It probably saved his life, though. So
exactly, I expect that conversation to take place in season 2. He's still going to be upset over something, and Scrooge is like, "What is wrong with you?"
Somebody brought up that Gyro doesn't know how to swim in the comics, so we never really see him at the end after he gets thrown into the water. So we don't know if he's going to be back for season 2.
Oh, because we don't know that he swam out of his underwater. Now, there's a line that I loved when they show up, him and Manny and Little Bulb, and he's like, "That's it. The next layer will not be underwater." And he says, what is it he says? Empty volcanoes, castle on a hill, but not underwater, or something like that. I'll cut it in.
That's it! No more underwater labs. It's volcanoes or abandoned castles from now on.
But I thought it was funny when when they're talking about this ray. They're talking about the shadows have gone all over the place, and Huey's looking at him like, "What'd you do, Gyro?"
And he says, "My shadow whatever ray is still in early development. It's not me."
Shadow control, yeah.
Because he's already thought of it. I mean, it's like the radioactive hay or whatever it was he was talking about, so it'd glow in the dark.
We got Gladstone in this episode, too.
Yeah, that was great. He's like, "Oh, look, $20. And of course, his shadow with an evil face hands him the $20 before it flies off.
Yeah, and then the shadow goes into the Gizmo Duck suit with the Fenton one.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing to me. So I get why it happened, because we can't have Gizmo Duck there, right? And we had Fenton. I mean, he saved the day anyway. But what happened to the armor? Where'd it go?
I think
Donald beat it.
Yeah, Donald got to it. Speaking of fights, I mean, that Webby Magica fight, that was incredible.
So if I had to pick one moment, I'm just going to go ahead, because we got a couple more to read, but I'm going to go ahead and say that my favorite moment of this episode, and there's so many of them, and as I'm saying it, I'm thinking, no, I'm arguing with myself that there's a couple of others that it might be. If my favorite moment is not the Donald I am the storm moment, because I think that is my favorite moment. Second was the Webby fight.
I love when going back to the storm, I love when Beakley says, "Do you talk like this all the time?"
That's exactly why it's my favorite part. She's like, "Have you been talking like this the whole time?" It was amazing, because I love Donald.
Webby got some nice hits in there, like face shots.
Yeah. And even when the force field was up and she just wailing on it, I mean, you could see fear in Magica's eyes, which I thought was great. I thought that adding that, I mean, you could see that she was fighting in desperation at times, Magica trying to get away.
Yeah, all that training, Webby training, paid off. I mean, she was great. You know, I was expecting her, not expecting, but it would have been fun if she would have pulled out the gummy berry juice.
She has
we know she stashed it from that other episode,
yeah.
So that would have been fun.
So let's read another one. Drake Wing Muck, one of our followers at Twitter, and always sharing our stuff, by the way. We appreciate that. Says, "Sorry to crash the party," and that was a favorite moment. He had one job.
Like 3 or 4 times in a row, he tried to crash the plane. It's you know why the reason that happened was because the previous episode was the last crash of the Sun Chaser, so he couldn't crash it anymore after that.
Oh, that's true. And he was so discouraged too, because that last time he says it, he's like, "Time to crash the party." Or "time to crash," or something like that. It was great.
Doesn't he say it after he crashes? He's like, "That's the first time I ever crashed myself."
Yeah.
Or crashed in me.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever crashed a me.
That's good. That's good. That's not my number one, though.
So we've got one more, then you do your number one, okay?
All right.
Pink Pearl Apples in our Discord chat earlier said, her guess at one of our favorite moments was, "I am helping. I'm supervising. Grunts do the grunt work." So yeah, Louie had some amazing moments in this episode. Let me ask you this, because I know we're about to get into your favorite moment. Is it a Louie moment?
No.
Okay, because I have multiple Louie moments that are my favorites. Like, not the top of my list, but they're high up there. This is one of them, because Louie's always trying to get out. And then when they see Magica up in the sky, and Webby kind of tells them what's going on and how dangerous it is, and he's like, "Weren't we going to Cape Suzette? Let me go get the boat started." He's like, "I'm out."
We out.
That's one of my favorites. Then you've also got the moment when they start fighting Magica, and he dives into the money. We're sitting there watching the episode, and I'm like, "Louie's swimming in the money," and Lexi's going, "Yeah, he's swimming in the money." We were all excited about that. And then at the end of the episode, one more thing. I thought this was great character development. When Magica's fighting Louie and she breaks that mirror, and he's like, "Ooh, that mirror was cursed. Now you're cursed." He goes on about that.
Oh no! You broke the mirror of Taiki!
The what now?
Ancient artifact. Terrible curse if you break it.
I've never heard of it, and I am versed in all magics. Gaelic, Demogorgon, Sumerian.
Sumerian? You were in that dime a long time. Well, good luck with the curse.
What kind of curse?
Grave misfortune, increased gullibility, a swift kick in the ribs.
A what?
Ow, my ribs!
Going back to the last Crasher of the Sun Chaser, what was the lesson he learned in that episode? Webby was trying to tell him the history and how that history of that item was important. And he's like, treasure doesn't need history. You don't need to know any of that. And he's going on. Well, it was this false history that he made up that got Magica, to where she wasn't paying attention to what was going on, and Webby was able to kick her. So I thought that was a great moment too for him.
Yeah, I like at the end when Scrooge, it kind of goes full circle, and from the first episode, from the pilot, where he pretends like he doesn't know Dewey's name.
Right.
He calls him the other one.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite moment in this thing, and this is like goosebumps, like stupid grin on my face, was when they cut to the moon and they played the NES moon theme in the show at that point. I was freaking out.
Don't drink this water!
It's kind of subtle. Did you catch it the first time?
I did not catch it the first time.
Yeah.
People were like talking about it. I'm like, what are you serious? I had to go back because when I watched it, it was like 7 a.m. The kids had like ran into my room and told me to pull up the iPad, and we did Disney Now.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the volume's not as loud as it should be at that time of day, but I put it up as loud as I could to hear it, and it was so amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Anything from the NES is gonna just give me goosebumps, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I did catch it. We were like, our house erupted when it switched to the moon, and my girl, when the television on the screen, when she's able to dial it in and see the family, and you saw that hand go up there, Lexi goes, "That's Della." And Paisley was like, "Are you serious? Is it Della?" And the girls were like, "It's Della. It's Della." And then when it showed her, I'm talking like screeching, screaming, carrying on. It was a great moment for watching TV with my family because we're all like jumping around over this show. And so I totally didn't catch it. And I was on Twitter later in the day, and something was said about the moon theme. And I think it was Frank who responded that either Tanner or Matt wanted to replace the title sequence with the moon theme, but that they had to fit it in. It had to be in the episode. It was going to be.
It for sure will be in whatever the Rescue from the Moon episode will be, but
yeah.
it suddenly goes do 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 do.
Yeah.
And then you see the spears. You find the spear Celine is red. We didn't know that before.
Correct.
She's on the moon. I mean, this is the other speculation. It's like, did Scrooge not check the moon? I mean, that would probably be the easiest. Probably saved a lot of money if he were just went to the moon first. I mean, and nothing else has been to the moon since then to see her there. So some people have speculated maybe she got further than the moon, and then she took 10 years to get back to around that area. But yeah, I think she was at the moon that whole time.
Do you?
Know. Yeah. Look, I mean, her spaceship looks completely like it crashed right there.
It looks like it crashed, yeah. And we're assuming that it's the Spear of Selene and that it's red.
Nope, it is.
So I'm one of the people that think that she's not been on the moon the past 10 years. I think she has had this space adventure that she wanted, and she spent the last 10 years trying to get back. And I think she, in the words of Maxwell Smart, missed it by that much. And so she hit the moon pretty recently. I had a fun moment this evening with Lexi, and she was like, "Daddy, can I ask you a question about DuckTales?" I was like, "Absolutely, baby. What kind of question you got about DuckTales?"
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
Let's talk about it. She goes, "Okay, so I learned in school that there's no air in space, and there's no food in space, and there's no water in space." I said, "Yeah, that sounds about right." She goes, "So how did Della live on the moon?" And I was like, "You are totally onto something."
Well, I mean, you should ask her if she's ever seen. Is there any other history books talk about ducks in space? Because maybe ducks could live on the moon.
Maybe they can't. There was actually one of the Apollos, they sent a bunch of ducks, and they totally flourished on the moon.
There you go.
Yeah. So, hey, the coming weeks, we're going to have a good time, whether that is 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. We know it's not going to be longer than that, but over the next few weeks, we're going to have a lot of fun reviewing and going back and talking about stuff from this season, because this has been an amazing season. And before we move any further, thank you to everyone involved in DuckTales. Great show. Just amazing show. So much better than what I expected. So much more than I expected. My family loves it more than I expected. I had high hopes. You met every expectation. Thank you. And we can't wait to see what you do next. I hope you didn't want much of a break.
We've already gone over a lot of things in this episode. Another thing I wanted to bring up, though, was some more Don Rosa reference. Lena, or Magica as Lena, says you survived Plain Awful, and that was from, I just finished reading Don Rosa Volume 2, and that was the story from there. One of these days you'll read that one, right?
Oh, we've got to talk about it next Monday.
Heck yeah, we will. So it's cool that there was another Don reference in there, and I think when you meet him at DragonCon, you should write down all the DuckTales references to his stuff, and just go down the list and and record his face of the enjoyment that he. Like I told you when I saw him, and I told him that. When I started bringing up DuckTales, and then I brought up that his name was in a crossword puzzle, melted his heart that day. So you should bring in all the references you can.
Yeah, we're going to continue warming his heart to DuckTales. Hopefully we can have him on the podcast sometime. That's a goal.
Yeah, maybe when the documentary comes out, we'll have Morgan, the director, on, and we'll see if we can bring Don on as well.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, we've got a lot we're going to talk about in the coming weeks, and we're looking forward to it. We also want to thank you. Our season 1's going to continue until a little closer to season 2, and then you'll see season 2 of DuckTalks. We might change a few things, maybe some improvements on our side with the site and with the podcast. But season 1 has been amazing. I've had a lot of fun doing this, learning how to podcast, having some trouble and difficulties to work through, but it's been totally worth it because of all the people that we've got to enjoy our fandom with, and they've enjoyed sharing their fandom with us, or I've enjoyed them sharing their fandom with us.
Yeah, everybody's been great. We'll try to have like a 1-year anniversary special. I don't when was DuckTalks officially first episode?
We've got the date on Twitter. I've created our Twitter. It's in October. About the time we should get new episodes.
Yeah, so we'll try to have a 1-year thing. But yeah, I appreciate it. This thing is really, especially the last few months, just blown up to past our expectations of what was going to be originally. So thank you for everybody that worked with us on this. And it's not just our project. It's not our it's our community. It's for everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm totally wrong. It's in September.
Oh, come on.
It was the end of September, the last week, I think, that we created all the sites and stuff. So our first episode probably was October. But yeah, thanks to everyone. Like you said, beyond our expectations. So much fun. Hey, if you want to follow us online, you can do that at DuckTalks.com. We have a website where we like to share blogs about DuckTales, Disney Afternoon, merchandise, all that fun stuff. You can follow that, as well as follow us on Twitter at DuckTalks. And we also have our individual Twitter handles. You can find me at Infinirama616.
And I'm at the Pirate Steven.
Oh, we had an additional review. Our review number went up at iTunes. So if you listen to us on iTunes and you've subscribed, or if you seek out the episode each week, you should subscribe because it's a lot easier. But if you would, give us either a review or a rating. It was a rating, not a review that we got this week. So thank you to that person. Doesn't tell us when you give us a rating, so I would say thank you to that specific person if I knew who you were. But thank you. We'll include a link to our Discord in the show notes. You can join us there. We're chatting all week long about DuckTales and everything. But I think that's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week to talk more about DuckTales 2017. Till next time.
Stay glom golden.
DuckTalks is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, or audio clips played on this podcast are the property of their copyright holders.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers. Wow, never been able to say that before.
Hey, so, no, not hey, so. That's got to get cut. Man, making work for myself.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Frank's retweeting something. My link was at the top of the page, and as I went to touch it, Frank's notification came up, because, DuckTalks, we follow Frank. And so I hit that, and I'm on Twitter instead.
I will edit this out.
And I will edit this out. My link's not working, so hold on.
Yeah, you will edit. A one-tape wonder.
All right. There it is. Okay. Take two. I've got it written down here somewhere.
I tweeted it.
Yeah, you tweeted it. I expected you to just start singing it.
You didn't get. You were supposed to stall a little bit so I can grab it.
Well, this isn't live.
Oh, yeah. You edit this. I forgot you.
I can edit this out. Try that again. It kind of went out while you said it.
You want to? Let me sing the Launchpad song again.
Okay, but do the Stay Glom Golden first.
Stay gone. Beep.